presentation, especially that there is a very big competition from the other guys, more famous names than me, so even more thank you. My name is Maciek Dziergwa, I'm coming from Poland, from STX Next, and I'm going to today share with you knowledge, our experience from deploying Plone CMS in the enterprise environments, basically based on the projects we have been doing for the banks in Poland. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask it. I will try to finish a few minutes before the 30 minutes, so we have some small time for discussion. Also feel free to contact me on LinkedIn, so we always can stay in touch. This is the address on my profile. Small agenda. The presentation is not very long, but I have a lot of knowledge and information to share with you, so I will be trying to speak quite fast. At first, I will tell a few words about me and my company, about the experience we get. Then I will present challenges that are connected to projects for enterprise organization. Okay. Thank you. Then I will show you some rough architecture of enterprise environments. That it's not on the project, quite complicated, so I will try to share some knowledge we get. Then I will show our solution, how we solve the challenges, how we enterprise deployments. Some tips and tricks at the end, and then small time for discussion. Do you have any questions for start? Not yet. Okay, let's go. STX Next Python experts. I started working with Plone together with Andrew Mleczko, who is also present here, in 2004, or probably even 3. Our first client was the client in the Netherlands. Today it's called Edition 1, but this is the Netherlands, is the place where we start learning Python, basically in The Hague. I spent a few months living here. But nowadays we grow up to over 30 Python developers in Poland, because we are a software house that offer Python services to other companies. As you can see, we already worked on Python over 50,000 of work days. That gives over 140,000 of hours. So we have some expertise, some experience, and this is what I want to share with you. What we do, basically we create web applications based on Plone, but we create it mainly for other Python companies. So we are a subcontractor. That's why we're able to grow so big, because we have a crisis on the Python, but on the other hand, there is a lack of Python resources, so there is a niche for us. But we have also parent company in Poland. Parent company is much bigger than we, and is responsible for creating transactional application systems for the banks. And thanks to this, from 2008, we are able to work for the biggest banks in Poland, also the European brands of banks that have companies in Poland. And we try to evangelize Python and Plone worldwide. As I told you, in 2008 we started to work for the banks, and before we have been doing just regular Plone projects for other clients. And what happened? Suddenly we faced really a lot of different problems that we didn't have previously. What is it? Scalability, first of all. So banks and corporations, usually their websites have very big load, and sometimes Plone was not fast enough to serve. Of course, security, there was problem always big issue about backup and recovery management. Something I call it logs problem. Basically, for the banks and enterprise organization, you don't have access to production instances. They never give you access to it. So if there is a problem, the only thing you get is the logs from given period of time, and based on these logs you have to find out what happened, fix the problem, and upload the patch to the production. So-called offline builds. They expect that we deliver solution almost on CD, and they will be able to put this CD to the computer that is not connected to the intranet and run the build process, and everything should be installed by the administrator. In the past, we just use build out, run build out. All packages have been downloaded directly from the internet. For the big companies, they expect that everything will be provided without internet access. Publication of content at the given time, usually at night. It's also, we didn't have this problem. Of course, we have publication in future feature in Plone, but the problem is that they have to test the content before it goes live. And sometimes they need to do 2 publications during one night. So this is impossible in pure Plone in this moment. Then I already mentioned QA process for the content. So before content is published, even in future, it has to be first tested by the content managers. Relational database, there was no chance to use ZODB stored in the files, and when they heard about object database, they said, well, no. And the reason why is it, because I was interested why they are so skeptical about different applications, also the same issue we had with Varnish, was that for the big organization, they have very teams of administrators. So they are not very happy to learn about learning new technologies like Varnish, like object database, because then they have to train entire team, that sometimes, for example, is 10 people, and they have to prepare procedures, because they have procedure for everything, procedure for this new application. So basically, you can expect you will have to use standard application like Apache instead of Nginx, and there will be no Varnish. We just use, I will tell you later what we used for this. And the last one, but not the least one, relative URLs. Probably you are not aware of it, but Plone, basically that publisher in Plone, is generating absolute URLs. And the bank told us that their infrastructure is so complicated, they need the relative URLs. It took us many days to patch Zope to serve relative URLs. It was really a hard task, but it's doable, I already can tell you it. So this is general architecture about big environments. In this case, in the bank. Usually, the core of this is so-called communication bus. Every big organization have it. This is the channel where usually all communication goes. And as you can see, Plone is a little bit. It's only small part of it. There will be one more detailed schema later. But as you can see, there is many different modules on this screen. Like here, everything that is transactional is done here. It's not done in Plone. Plone is too slow to serve any transaction to any big corporation because they have to serve really thousands of transactions a second. So we'll use Plone as only content management, but not publishing or serving CMS, serving content. As you can see, we just export static copy of entire site to another application that is written in Python. Then it goes through Apache and so on. This part is all. Some part of it are also in Python. This is a very complicated environment. Part of these modules are also implemented by us, but mostly by many other different companies. Basically, the biggest companies, IT companies in Europe. And here there is a core accounting system of a bank that is even much more deeper. Any questions for now? Not yet. So now, what is our solution? Our solution to it. This is it. We have Plone in here. And Plone is treated as a content manager, but it's only accessible in the intranet of the organization. Then, of course, we don't use ZODB DataFS file, but we use Pioneer's Postgres database that is using, of course, real storage. And Postgres is replicated, but as a master-slave, I think, in this case. But this is done by the organization, by the bank itself. We don't maintain Postgres for them. When Plone generates, manage the content, here you can see its organization intranet. So they can access Plone directly, create, modify content. We have two skins created. So one is for the website, the other is for mobile application, iPhone, iPad, and other. And then the most important thing we created is here. This is, we are able to publish it open source. Again, how do you publish open source when working with banks? We use some trick because none of the big organizations, at least in Poland, will not allow to publish anything as open source. So we just created the required module that was required, then we published it open source, and then we said to the client that we reuse existing open source models. So this is the way how you can work with corporations, yes? Just create it, publish it, and say we are allowed to reuse existing code, open source code. So we say this is open source, we use it in this project, so you don't get the copyrights for it. It's just on the open source license, and this is how we are able to, from time to time, to publish something. Because getting the agreement from the bank to publish something open source would take them 2 years and would require to many different steps to arrange. So these are the small tips and tricks how we work. What is static deployment? I will tell it a little bit later. Basically, static deployment and scheduler allows you to run the static copy of entire Plone website as an anonymous user, and it allows you to do it to create copy of entire website on only modified files, and you can schedule to make the copy at the given time. So, for example, at midnight. There is something more. You can do a static copy in this moment. Then you can preview it here. So this is a preview of QA preview, quality assurance. So people from the organization can check the static copy how it looks like. And when it looks fine, then you can schedule it to be put to the publication process later. Then the static copy here goes to so-called content server. Content server is application written, quite small application, written in Pyramid, is using deliverance. This is the stateless, so in the infrastructure there is many different instances of content server, and we just upload the static copy of the website to each of these servers. Then deliverance is doing the trick, and we call it mix the content from different sources, because Plone is not the only source of the content. We have other different sources, and all functionality that requires some transactional, some actions like search, like ATM search, like contact form, is generated by different very small applications written in modules, written in different languages. Some of them are Python, some of them are C, because banks and enterprise organizations don't like Python. They like Java, and especially some of them like .NET and other technologies. And all of them basically are very happy with C++. That's why when we tell them we do only web part with Python, so CMS and this part, but the core systems are done in C, we are very happy to accept Python in our solutions. Communication bus is the bus when all communication between different modules goes. It's quite complicated, so I will not go in details in this. There is also communication from Plone to for example, Xapian search system when we have to upload content, when Xapian index it and then serve it directly to the client. And here, on the content server, previously it was done in Pyrons, nowadays we do it in Pyramid. We have a mixing of the content from different sources. So for example, if there is a request for just a front-end website, basically front-end website is served directly by Apache even further. But if there's a request for search, it comes to content server, then it goes to the communication bus forwarded to the search module, and then request is result of a search going back to content server gets this result using deliverers, mix it to the static content and serve the result page to the internet. And at the top we have Apache, as you can see, and then we have load balancer. As you can see, there is no open source load balancers like Pound, there is no Varnish. The reason why it's like this, I already told you that they don't want to, they want as less applications as necessary. So for example, for cache, we have mod cache in Apache, and that's all. Yeah. At the top right, I showed you one more time the problems or challenges we have to focus. So we have scalability. Scalability in this case is not a problem because we serve static content. So there is nothing else faster than a static content. So it serves by Apache, and it is the fastest solution. It's possible, of course, they have load balancer, but this is the hardware. Then security. If somebody breaks into the site, usually they breaks in only to Apache. They can, of course, replace the content, but you can very fast overwrite it with a new copy. So because they don't have access directly to Plone itself, so we don't have to focus on Plone security and so on, because this one is out of access from internet. Backup and recovery. Still, we can have backup on two levels on Plone, but it's done on the database and on the static copy, so it's also another problem. And usually these issues are solved by the organization itself, so we don't support them with backups, they have to do it by themselves. Publication in future, I already explained how it's done, using static deployment and scheduler. Of it, you are able to even queue many different publications in future. Relational database is easy, just use rel storage. And related URLs, you have to patch ZOP. And in many places, we have to patch ZOP to be able to get related URLs at the end. And now you can see why it has to be relative, because there is much more different layers here with different proxies. So there is not only one Apache. I think they have in stack they have 5 or 6 Apaches as a proxy doing very different things, because additionally to this scheme, the biggest solution banks usually have 2 environments, two locations, and this has to be entire architecture has to be replicated in completely different location, and should be synchronized basically in this case on the database level. So they can easily switch to another localization, and sometimes they do it for the test purpose, and it hardly ever works. So usually when they test it, there is always some problem, but it's like this. Okay. Do you have any questions for this schema?
Schema, no. I have a question for the previous slides about the relative URLs.
Yeah.
Can you explain a little bit more about the relative URLs? What exactly was the problem here?
The problem was that because banks have many different Apaches in front as a proxies, reverse proxies, and so on, they said that all web applications, also Django and other applications that have been using, has to use relative URLs. So, and Plone in the content, when Plone generates the page, and internal links, for example, for menu, put absolute URLs based on virtual host monster, I think.
Because you have to position it somewhere in a URL concept, so you need relative.
Yeah.
Okay.
And because they change these links sometimes with domains and head part of it, they said, well, just give us relative instead of absolute. And Plone assumes that it's always absolute URLs using virtual host monsters. And we are not able to easily say, hey, Zop, we want relative URLs, and we checked in the code, and we had to patch many different places in that Zop publisher.
Is there a reason that you were patching the publisher and actually omitting it versus just sort of doing a transform after it got generated?
Yeah, there was some reason, but I don't remember which one. Why? Because we could do it also later as a static copy. Yes, there is a reason. Very small reason. The reason is this one. They have to be, because the relative URLs mainly should be here, but also at this level. So this preview is not to the static copy, but just regular how you access Plone. And I have no idea, but they say that this also has to be relative. So that's why Plone itself, because here, because we could easily implement it in the static deployment thing to just change it, just remove the head part, and it would be quite easy. But because of this feature, so they can preview, when they change something, they can preview it directly, and it goes directly from Plone. And they said it also has to be relative. That's why we had to patch. Okay, so I have one more slide. Some just tip and tricks. I have no idea if it works, if it's only for Poland. I think it's at least for Europe. I have no idea how it's in US, but it's probably similar because people are people. What we learned, confidentiality. So do not put anything in public. We are used to work agile and using all Google things, Gmail and Google Docs and so on. And also have been using Jinx for making screenshot. We just publish it and pass the link. And the first time we put some screenshot of the development of the website from the bank, I get a call from a bank that there is a security issue, that we are not allowed to put anything online. So we had to put it on our server, but we just forget to put the password on it. So it was not indexed in Google, but still the links has been available publicly. So we had another security issue, guys. This one is not protected. You are not allowed to show to the world our development versions of the website, even if it's only a screenshot. So test versions, screenshot, any documents, everything has to be secured with password, and it's not. You are basically not allowed to use any cloud solutions. Of course we do, but we don't know. Well, we say we do only for other clients that are not that strict about security, but this is like this. So we also are not allowed to use Gmail's account, for example, but we have some VPN connection to the bank that we can send emails over this connection. Okay, another thing was that we have focus was estimation should assume some build processes. Usually in the past with Plone, if you have to change some label, one message, you just log in either to the DMI or just put it somewhere in the code, upload it to production, do a quick restart, and it takes you 1 hour. For the bank, it's not possible to do anything in 1 hour because usually building process, preparing the build takes about half a day. So the minimum amount of work we do for the bank is 1 day or half day. Because usually development work is 1 hour, bank communication is 3 hours, testing 3 hours, and preparing the build another extra hour. So it takes really a lot of time. So, and this is a common case for the banks. Even if they are aware, and even if they know want to change a label of something, they accept 1 day of work, for example, and you can charge for it. So, more communication, less development. Do have paper for any change, and look out for internal politics. These are very two different things. Guys, remember, they are banks and big organization. They are usually employ thousands of people, and they are small groups that fight with each other and so on. So there can be somebody can order something from you, but if you don't have signature for it or the comment that is accepted, then suddenly you can be not paid for this later because something will change or something. Be careful about it. This is not agile at all, or there is no really big trust. These are big organizations and have confirmation about everything in email, on paper, or anything. Yeah, and remember that if you want to do with different projects for big organization, the teams from the organization side sometimes can fight each other, and you can have also problems with it. And we also faced it, so there is no a good solution for it, just to be friends with everybody, and then they will work with you. Okay, we have 3 minutes left, so there is a time for comments, and as a background I will show you how our team spend time on our company meetings, and please, any question? Yes, please.
You open sourced the STX Next step deployment module. Would you also need to have the pyramid server for that to really use what's exported, or is it standalone? So you have the module, the Plone module is open source, but then it assume it spits out a site in some format aesthetic.
Yes.
What's that format?
This is the Plone format. It goes through all. It works like this, but it goes through all portal catalog, I think, and make a copy of a rendered page as an anonymous. So any site, any skin, you just if you have 2 skins or 3 skins, you are able to select the skin. And then just make a static copy of everything that you have in database that is published. Basically, that is accessible by anonymous user.
So you get all the HTML, CSS, GS files in the layout on the file system,
yes,
which can be served by Apache?
Yes.
Okay.
The idea was to make it even more that it will be automatically put to the, for example, to the FTP and to cheap hosting, but we didn't have a client for it or a solution, so it's competition to cloud in some way. You can have really cheap hosting of Plone, host Plone locally on your laptop. If you update it quite rarely, then you can just upload the copy without search and so on. Yes, Alan?
Did you guys look at the CMS deployment at all?
I think we did, but I don't remember. It was we created it in 2008. I don't remember if it was done at that time. I think we have been the first one to create something similar. I know Andrew was doing something also, but we couldn't find. I don't remember. In 2008, there was not too many solutions of if any. And we created this one. We were able to publish it open source a little bit later, and then yeah. So something didn't work, I think, that's why we created our own, and we need the scheduler and to prepare 2 different or 3 different copies in the same time. Its time is finished, so we have some more questions. The suggestion is that we have some open panel, or you can ask me. Yes, but questions later, because we are finished. We have no more time. Sorry, but you can find me. Connect me on LinkedIn. Find me on the corridor.